Welcome to the video. Today I'm going to be running a camera test. I am going to put my iPhone 12 Pro, specifically in live focus mode, up against my Sony A7rii Mark II with its 50mm 1.8 lens on it. This is a completely unfair test, but it's actually quite a compliment to Apple and to the smartphone industry overall. They are doing incredible things with their cameras, and more specifically the software around their camera modules. What they can do in terms of making a photo look creative after the fact by blurring the background is really coming along leaps and bounds. There's been some limitations in the past, and you get some quite interesting edges around the edge of the item, and the background can look a little bit sketchy, but I think things have really taken a step up in the past year or so. So I'm really keen to put my camera against the iPhone in terms of things that I shoot on a day-to-day basis, because I think people in my kind of situation who have both really struggle to know whether to bring the camera along with you to pack it all up and make sure you have it with you at all times to shoot those things you want to put on Instagram, or you want to just save your memories from a day out, or shoot your coffee in the morning or something like that. But you still want to make it look cinematic, you still want to make it look creative, but do you really need the big guns, and can you get a good enough photo out of the iPhone 12 in this case that you can then edit and make look exactly how you want it? It'll be an interesting test. I'm going to take a few photos that are in absolutely identical conditions in terms of lighting and the object in the shot. Shot one with the Sony, shot two with the iPhone. I'll put the two together so you can see all my results, and then I will pop back on here and share my thoughts about shooting the two cameras and the difference that I noticed between the two. Obviously, we know the Sony has a better spec. It's a full frame camera. However, I think we could get some interesting results. Stick with me, have a look at the photos, see what you think, and I will get back to you after I have done the shooting. There you have it. I hope you enjoyed those photos. Just finished up editing them and taking a closer look at them. Overall, pretty impressed with the iPhone, as I thought I might be, because I have been using it for a little while now. However, obviously the Sony did come up trumps in certain situations. I think it very much depends upon the item you're shooting and the conditions you want to shoot it in and the look you are going for. In terms of things where I was holding the item out, like the GoPro and my watch, I actually preferred the iPhone shot. I think this might be because it's a slightly wider lens. It's not directly comparable in focal length to the 50mm. And I think maybe just getting a little bit more background in helped, but I was really impressed with how the edges came out, and I think it looked really crisp and clear. Not that it didn't on my Sony, of course, but I think overall the look was quite nice, which is great news, because if you're anything like me and you're out and about and you hold things up to take a picture of a drink or whatever it happens to be, that's quite nice. Where the Sony did really well and completely blew the iPhone out of the water was on objects that were a little bit more tricky, with tricky edges. For example, that Apple TV controller, it didn't do a great job on that at all. It has a shiny part to the edge, and you can see that it just didn't pick it up at all, and it's got a real indentation in it. But saying that, you know, you've got a massive difference in price comparison and in quality comparison between the two cameras. And I think for kind of out and about stuff, if you don't want to be carrying a camera around, you can get a really nice job done with the iPhone, especially if you pay a little bit of attention to detail. Make sure you've got good light around the subject, and you just place that subject in a position or an angle where the edges are a bit easier for the iPhone to pick up. If you have a play, you can make them look a little bit better. There are a couple of instances which do bother me slightly, because I do this a lot, where I shoot with something in the foreground to give it a little bit of depth, and I like that to be blurred and then pick up the item and then have the background blurred. My camera does an absolutely ace job of that, and I can manually focus in and get the item pin sharp. Here's a little example of another angle I took of that Apple TV controller with a bit of my sofa in the foreground, and obviously the Sony did a really nice job with it, but unfortunately I don't think the iPhone can quite manage that yet, but maybe in future iterations of the phone it may well do. It is quite an ask of the camera because you're asking it to pick up different focal points, but I don't do that, you know, a lot on the road and on the run, so maybe I'll just need to take my camera out for that and hope for future models of iPhones to be able to do that. But you could play around in post-processing as well and take some sharpness out of the foreground and things like that to give yourself that look if you really needed to. I tried to edit them as similarly as possible. These photos had minimal editing on them and just a little bit of color correction. Difficult to get them exactly the same. But overall, I think the iPhone did really well, and I'd be really, really happy to shoot with it and just pay a little bit more attention to setting the shot up and get what you want. So I hope this was helpful and you enjoyed the comparison between the two cameras and different shots. Go out, give it a go, see what you think, and I'm sure you'll be absolutely fine with the iPhone if you want to get day-to-day stuff. I'd be interested to hear your thoughts, what you think, whether it's worth packing the camera up and using a nice prime lens, or are you happy just using your iPhone? I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will look forward to seeing you in the next video.